It's a new day, and that means that there is another problem to solve with 3D printing, and today it's going to take us out to the garage. Now, if you're anything like me, I'm willing to bet that your toolbox setup probably leaves a lot to be desired and has definitely seen some better days. Today we're going to take some Bambu 3D printers and a Creality laser cutter and transform this space into something that's not only more functional, but also looks a whole lot better. If this sounds like something right up your alley, then keep watching and also subscribe. We're trying to hit 10,000 before Christmas, and I know we can do it with your help. Of course, I will leave links to everything in that description down below, so if you're looking for something, it's probably there. Now let's head out to the garage and see what we're working with. This is the current state of my toolbox. It's nothing I'm proud of, but I need to show you the true before so you can get a sense of how much change we're actually going to make through these 3D prints. Now that we know what we're working with, let's get to organizing. First thing I'm going to do is just clear everything off of that top shelf, make a pile of stuff that I need to keep, stuff I need to get rid of, stuff that's trash. Basically just organize everything, see what I have, and then go from there. And just like that, everything is cleaned off. I made 4 piles. I have a pile of stuff that I want to keep that needs to stay in the toolbox. A pile of just straight up trash that I don't even know why it's here. A pile of stuff that belongs somewhere else other than the toolbox. And then a nuts and bolts and spare parts that I probably will never use pile. The last thing I want to do to prep this top area is give it a nice good vacuum and cleaning. I also think this is a good time to mention that there are chapters down below, so you can skip all of this and get straight to the prints if that's what you'd like. Man, all I did was shop back it, and this thing is looking brand new. Was that believable? I'm just kidding. I just flipped over this mat. It's still dirty on the other side. You just can't see it anymore. I printed 2 versions of the base plates. I printed this first one, just your standard super light base plate out of irregular black PLA. And then I printed a second one, a much sturdier version out of some purple ABS, and this also has an option for magnets. Now I did the 2 different versions for a couple of reasons. The first one being, this one is way quicker, so if it can withstand the heat of the summers in Arizona, I'm going to use this all day long. It's quicker to print, it uses less materials, and it's a lot more low profile, so you won't see it as much. But it also lacks those magnets, so some of the bins might be popping out when I don't want them to, and it's printed in PLA, so it might not withstand the heat. Only time will tell with this one. Right now my plans for the top of the toolbox is not set in stone, so because I want that flexibility, I'm just going to throw some of these base plates down and then figure out the rest later. Ideally, I would like to have all of my power tools and my batteries up here. Because I have an outlet on this right hand side, I can kind of make it a little charging center for everything. Moving on to the meat and potatoes, let's check out drawer number 1. The main focus of this toolbox is all automotive, car related. I work on cars all the time, so my very front and center box is going to be metric sockets, all sorts of brands, all sorts of sizes. I have 1/4 inch, 3/8, 1/2 inch extensions. Pretty much all of my socket stuff is in this drawer right here. Now I have this organizer from Harbor Freight, which Harbor Freight is going to be a theme for a lot of this. I love Harbor Freight. I don't care what you have to say about it. That lifetime warranty means something to me. My goals for this drawer is to have something that works in addition to the Harbor Freight stands. I really like these stands because it shows me exactly what size I'm looking at, but what I don't like is that there's only one for each size. I guess 2 if you count the tall boys in the back, but for the short ones, there's only one of each. So I can't take a 12.15 and then put a 6.15 right next to it, because then it's in the spot for 16, and that just doesn't make sense anymore. I'd also like something that's a little bit more portable, so if I'm working on something that's far away from my box, I can take what I need and just easily pick up and go. Now I could do that with this right here, but all these could spill out. They're not very secure, and it's kind of big. And if I only need like 3 or 4 sockets, what's the point in taking this entire thing? Next, I'd like a way to organize all of my extensions. I love me a good wobble socket extension. I won't lie to you, these things are awesome and have helped me in a lot of tricky situations. And finally, I would like a way to keep all of my adapters in order. I have a lot of them, and as you can tell, they're literally just all over the place, so it's always a nightmare to find them. In fact, here's another one, and it's actually broken. Look at that. So first things first, let's clear out this drawer. I'm just going to move all this stuff up here to this brand new open space, make it messy again, and then we'll get to working. This is a setup I've come up with for how I want to store these Harbor Freight organizers. I'm just going to keep them nice and simple in the back. And then I'm going to take 2 of our Gridfinity ABS purple bases, put them in there, and then I have the final section right here printing out. It'll be here shortly. For the extra socket storage, I've decided to go with Socketfinity, which of course, linked down below, you already know. I chose this one because it comes with this awesome base, and you can print either a single wide or a double wide of this base. And then it has these adapters right here that will fit into your 3/8 sockets. They have some for 1/2 inch as well as 1/4 inch, and those are coming as well. They snap into the bottom of your socket so nicely, just like that. I hope you could hear that. And then they attach to the base, just like that. And then these can be adjusted anywhere on the base you want. And like I was saying, I wanted to be able to pick and choose what I need for a project. This is perfect for that. I can tell I need a 12mm. I can grab it, throw it in here, and just take off. And it's easy, and I love it. And it also looks cool. Before we go to the overflow storage, I'm going to organize all the sockets that I took out and see if we can fill in any of these gaps. I'm sure we can. Here is all of our extras right here. I don't know why I organized it like this, but I did. This is all of our 3/8 drive from smallest to largest. You'll notice we have a lot of 12s and 14s. I don't know why. Here we have our 1/4 inch drive. Definitely a lot less extras of those. Next we have some random 3/8 sockets. So we have some Torx bits, some screwdrivers, some random other sockets. We have a singular 1/4 inch drive Allen socket there. Here we have our adapters, some of them being 1/4 inch, 1/2 inch, 3/8, pretty much everything. Melting pot of adapters. And then we have our socket extensions. Now coming hot off the press, we have the storage solution for all of those extensions. That's going to be the first thing I would like to knock out in this Gridfinity setup. These are super cool because they're fully modular. You have one end section, middle sections, and then your other end section. So these can be any length you want. There's tons of different diameters to meet the needs of whatever your extension is. Again, check it out in the link down below. I'm going to get started putting these in, and we don't need all of these extensions, so I'm going to pick and choose the most used ones. Now before we get too far into organizing these drawers, I want to talk about a different kind of toolbox. While we're on the topic of toolboxes, I have this other toolbox that I've been meaning to fix for a while now. This is the box that I keep inside my Forerunner. It's got all sorts of tools inside it just to kind of get it through if something were to happen and I broke down on the side of the road. My only issue with this setup is that it is super loud. I don't know if you can hear this in the video, but cruising down the road, all I can hear is this thing rattling, and it kind of sounds like a tick in my engine, and I need to get rid of it because it freaks me out. Now of course I could 3D print an entire Gridfinity system and print all of the different trays for every tool I have in here, but that would take a ton of filament, a ton of time, and it would still be plastic, so it would still rattle and make some noise. I need something that's going to dampen that a little bit. I've decided to use this foam that's normally used for cushioning camera equipment and other valuables. I think it's going to work great at keeping the tools not only in place, but it's also going to help with dampening that sound a little bit. But how do I cut this? Well, that's where a laser cutter comes into play. This is the Creality Falcon 2 22-watt laser cutter and engraver. Creality sent this to me a couple months ago, and I've been using it pretty much non-stop for all sorts of engraving things. I've been engraving those water bottles that everybody seems to love right now, cutting out small pieces of wood for crafts, engraving on that wood, and now cutting out foam. And again, I'm going to be trying cutting foam for the first time. If this works, this is going to transform my entire camera storage setup. Like I said, this is going to be my first time attempting to cut 1-inch thick foam with this laser. I did a little bit of a test cut and I think I got my settings nailed pretty good. But first, we need to trace the tools that we want to store. So I'm going to place all the tools flat on a table, organized the way that I would like them to sit in the toolbox, and I'm going to take a picture directly above these tools to get a nice top-down angle. Next, I'm going to import this picture into my computer and open up Affinity Photo because we don't like that Adobe subscription, if you know what I mean. Now I'm going to use the pen tool to trace around all of these tools, and I'm not trying to be super precise here. This is my first time doing this, so it's more of a test than anything. After I got everything all traced out, roughly with the pen tool, I'm going to send it over to Lightburn, which is the software that I'm going to use to cut this with the laser cutter. Now I'm going to fire up the laser, put the foam where I want it to be, set my origin point, and then I'm going to frame my cut to make sure that everything stays within that foam area that I'm looking to cut out. Looks like we're all good. I'm going to tell it to go, and then in about an hour we're going to have a fully cut out piece ready to go right in the toolbox. These Socketfinity bases also come in a single wide size and a single stack double for some of those larger sockets, but we don't need this right now. I'm going to store all of my extra 1/4-inch sockets here, all of my adapters right here, and then all my other random Torx assorted sockets in this last one right here. And this drawer is now done. It looks absolutely amazing. Everything is super organized. I threw an extra Socketfinity base plate in here because I don't know what the future holds and I might need it. I also have some extra Gridfinity squares in here because, again, this is planning for the future. I don't know what I'm gonna need to store in here, so I like to have that extra flexibility. But that's it for this drawer. This thing turned out very lovely. It looks very, very good, super organized. Let's move on to the next one. The next drawer is gonna be all of my ratchets. I have a couple of them, very unorganized. I quite literally just toss them in here almost every single time I'm done using them. Today that's going to change. Just like everything else, the first thing we got to do is clean this out. So let's remove all of these ratchets. I designed these Gridfinity base plates on Onshape with a Gridfinity base generator, link in bio for everything. And I added a little bit of a gap at the top there, a bit of a spacer to hopefully fill in some of that gap, and it looks like it's going to do it nicely. Again, all of these are custom made to a toolbox, and you can do the exact same with yours. There is still a little bit of a gap there, but you know what? I'm okay with that. For ratchet storage, I found these universal ratchet Gridfinity holders from the same person that made the universal extension holders. Honestly, they're an amazing creator, so go check them out in the link down below. And I have 2 1/2-inch ratchets, 2 3/8 ratchets, and finally 2 1/4-inch ratchets, and look at how perfect that fit is. And actually, I'm gonna move these up so that they all line up a little bit better. Just like that. Now, I'm not too sure how far these 1/2-inch ratchets are actually gonna go, but I'm just gonna guess for now, and then we'll adjust them later. Alright, let's get the 1/2-inch ratchets in there, and that was actually a perfect guess. Look at that. Now, I do have the other one in here, but I know you can't really see it too well. Next, we got the 3/8, and I'm going to need to adjust this one quite a bit. It's actually longer than the 1/2-inch. That's what I love about this print, is that it's fully universal, so I can just slide this back, and then it fits in there just perfectly. Going with our second 3/8, and again, this one needs to be adjusted as well. No big deal. Perfect fit every time. And now, I actually lied to you guys. I do not have 2 1/4-inch ratchets. I have a pass-through ratchet, which is going to be sitting in the second to last position. And then finally, here is that 1/4-inch. Now, this one needs to be moved up quite a bit, and perfect. Alright, the Creality is all done. Let's get this cover moved out of the way. Let's do those laser cuts, and man, that looks good. I mean, as good as it can do with my pen being the way that it was. I did not take my time doing these pen marks, but overall, this looks like it's going to work great. I can't wait to get it out of here and put it in the toolbox. Now that we have this inside, we can take a closer look and actually remove some of these foam pieces. And here's some pliers, some needle nose pliers for you, and some more. Now, I would have put a line around the outside of this to perfectly fit inside the toolbox, But of course, I'm not a smart man, so I get to cut it out with scissors. After roughly cutting it out with scissors, I'm going to take some of that other foam that's a whole lot more dense but a lot thinner and glue it to the bottom so that we have a bit of an area for it to rest. And I'm realizing now that this 1-inch foam is way too thick for this stuff. These things are going to be sitting deep in there. Next time I do this for the other drawers, I'm definitely going to get a 1/2 inch piece of foam, or maybe even smaller, but let's get this glued and then into the toolbox. Now, like I said, that foam is definitely way too tall because these tools are really in there, but it holds them exactly how I want them to. And look, no noise. Perfect. And that is just one pretty cool example of something that you can do with a laser cutter. Obviously, like I said, there are millions of possibilities and it pairs very well with 3D printing. Again, thanks to Creality for sending this out for me to check out. If you want to get it for yourself, link in the description down below. They have plenty of other options besides this laser cutter with more or less power depending on your needs and price point. Go check them out in the link down below. Alright, that's all I have for you today. Thank you so much for checking out this video. We got 2 drawers done, a top area all prepped and ready to go for whatever the future may hold for it, as well as a portable toolbox behind me that no longer makes noise in the back of my truck. Overall, this was a great success. I hope you guys liked this video. If you have questions, leave them in the comments down below. I'll be happy to answer them. If you're interested in any of these prints or products that were in this video, in the description down below, you already know. And if you're looking at that subscriber count and it is less than 10,000, then you should probably click subscribe because I don't know. I don't really know why you should, but you should just click it because it makes my day. That's really about it. But with all that being said, I hope you guys have a great rest of your day, and it's coming up on that holiday season, so I hope you have a great holiday season as well, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.